So, to kick off this deep dive, I really want you to just take a second and imagine a scenario that feels like straight out of a mob thriller.
Oh, yeah, it really does.
Right. Like, picture a powerful mogul sitting behind bars, but he's allegedly making this revenge list of former friends and colleagues, all while his release date is just quietly inching closer.
And we should probably mention that date has actually been moved up to February 23, 2028, due to good conduct and rehab programs, according to the reports we're looking at today.
Which is just, I mean, that's practically tomorrow in legal time.
Exactly.
So our mission today is to examine this really chilling web of allegations and claims surrounding Sean Diddy Combs. We are looking at a trail of terrified celebrities, mysterious medical emergencies, and even historical cold cases.
And, they all allegedly point back to one man. It's a staggering premise to unpack.
It really is. And to set the stage here for you listening, Diddy is currently locked up, sure, but his immense wealth and resources, they haven't gone anywhere.
Right, and that is a crucial point to establish for this deep dive. The justice system might hold the man physically, but it absolutely doesn't neutralize the power or, honestly, the fear he commands over his alleged victims.
Yeah, because we tend to think that once someone is physically contained, the threat is just neutralized.
But if you have $1 billion net worth, you don't need to physically make a phone call to threaten someone.
Yeah.
You have retainers, you have fixers, PR crisis firms.
Intermediaries whose entire livelihood depends on that empire staying afloat.
Exactly. When an alleged victim looks over their shoulder, they aren't looking for the man himself. They're looking for the vast, well-funded proxy network he commands.
Which perfectly explains the incredible lengths people are going to just to achieve like a baseline level of safety.
Oh, absolutely. The collateral damage is wild.
Like, let's start with the most visible fallout from the trial, right? Cassie Ventura. She's the very face of this recent legal scandal, and the transcripts indicate she hasn't just hired security.
No, she's permanently fled the United States.
Right. She submitted a letter to the judge stating she is absolutely terrified for herself and her children.
And she explicitly said she has no intention of ever returning. The logistical nightmare of what she's done is just, it's hard to wrap your head around.
It's insane. Like, disappearing in the modern digital age is nearly impossible for an average person, let alone a highly recognizable A-list public figure.
You'd need an astonishing amount of capital and discipline. We are basically talking about an unofficial, entirely self-funded international witness protection program.
Which is just such a crazy concept. The rumors place her somewhere in Africa or the Middle East, but nobody actually knows. She can't even risk a quiet flight back to California to visit her family for the holidays.
Because the perceived threat level dictates that she has to remain entirely untethered from her past life. And the documents we're analyzing show this isn't just paranoia.
No, it's a direct response to a historical pattern of what allegedly happens to people who try to leave his orbit.
When the mechanism of control is absolute loyalty, leaving is basically treated as an act of war.
Yeah, and let's talk about what that act of war actually triggers. Because the reports detail the fallout when Cassie initially tried to move on and, started dating Kid Cudi.
Oh, the Kid Cudi situation.
Yeah.
That goes so far beyond a typical jealous ex scenario.
Way beyond. According to Cudi's own testimony, Diddy allegedly broke into his Hollywood Hills home. And he didn't just smash windows or steal a TV.
No, the claim is that he meticulously opened the Christmas presents Cudi had bought for his family and then locked Cudi's dog in a bathroom.
Which is just, that's psychological warfare.
It absolutely is. Property damage is just vandalism, right? But breaking into a secure home to carefully unwrap family gifts, that is a highly tailored message.
It's telling the target, I have access to your most intimate spaces. I can touch your family's memories.
Exactly. It's designed to induce a permanent state of paranoia. I can touch everything you love.
It's basically the modern equivalent of leaving a horse's head in the bed. But unfortunately, the intimidation didn't stop at psychological tactics.
Not at all.
A few weeks later, Cudi is at a friend's house, and his dog sitter calls to say his Porsche convertible is just engulfed in flames in his driveway.
And the mechanics of this are terrifying. It wasn't just some random act.
No, the reports explicitly detail that a hole was precisely cut into the fabric roof of the convertible, specifically on the driver's side, and a makeshift Molotov cocktail was dropped directly inside.
Cutting a hole directly above the driver's seat requires time, proximity, and just a brazen disregard for being caught. It's a simulated, highly targeted assassination attempt.
Right. The placement of the firebomb tells Cudi exactly who the intended casualty was supposed to be, and this was all allegedly just because he dated Cassie.
It's jarring. But as we dig deeper into these transcripts, the tactics evolve again. They shift into something much covert, which brings us to the medical mysteries.
Oh man, yeah, the medical mysteries. The reports outline these sudden, unexplainable, near-fatal medical emergencies of high-profile men who allegedly crossed him.
The shift to these biological claims is where the narrative gets incredibly dense. Look at Jamie Foxx's 2023 hospitalization.
Right. He was in Atlanta filming Back in Action when he suffered a catastrophic brain bleed and stroke.
He was hospitalized for over 20 days, and at one point, his survival odds were reportedly pegged at just 5%.
Just 5%. And for the longest time, there was an absolute media blackout regarding what actually caused it. But the documents we're reviewing highlight some pretty wild claims.
Yeah, from a director known as Choke No Joke, and a celebrity bodyguard who goes by Big Homie.
Right. They publicly alleged that Fox was involved in an altercation with Diddy's bodyguards over filming at a VIP party, and they claim that during the chaos, Fox was forcibly given a pill that directly triggered the stroke.
To understand how that could even theoretically happen, you have to picture these ultra-exclusive VIP sections. They are highly chaotic, densely packed micro-ecosystems.
Yeah, lots of entourages, security, constant movement.
Exactly. If a physical altercation breaks out among trained security staff, the confusion is absolute. The allegation is that in that blinding moment of physical restraint, a synthetic substance was introduced.
Let me push back on this a bit because there's a massive logistical hurdle here for me.
You're sure?
We are talking about Jamie Foxx, a global A-lister. The idea that someone could just force a pill down his throat in a room full of people feels, honestly, almost entirely unworkable.
It does sound like something out of a movie.
Right. And furthermore, there are rumors that Fox was actually the one who called the FBI on Diddy, prompting the whole investigation. He reportedly even hinted at Diddy's involvement during a recent Netflix special screening.
Yeah, that was a huge talking point.
But then TMZ recently published a report stating Fox now explicitly claims Diddy had absolutely nothing to do with it. So I have to ask, is this the truth coming out, or is this just a terrifying example of PR trying to keep a target off his back?
It's a crucial contradiction, right?
Yep.
You really have to differentiate between a confidential conversation with federal agents and a public declaration of war in the media.
Meaning talking to the FBI is shielded.
Exactly. It's an institutional process.
Right.
But acknowledging the attack publicly, that puts an immediate, highly visible target on his back, his family's back, and his career.
So the TMZ report might just be a sophisticated pressure release valve.
You publicly clear his name to de-escalate the immediate lethal threat, while maybe cooperating behind closed doors. Whether the denial is the absolute truth or calculated survival strategy, the fact that people assume it's a cover-up speaks volumes.
It really highlights the baseline level of fear operating in Hollywood, and that theory holds a lot more weight when you compare Fox's situation to Al B,
Correct.
who suffered a remarkably similar emergency in 2022.
The medical cascade that Al B endured is just horrific. We're talking about sudden multi-organ failure, kidney failure, sepsis, fungal pneumonia.
He had a tracheotomy, a 2-month coma, and a liver transplant. It was a systemic collapse of a healthy human body that completely baffled his medical team.
And the defining difference here is that Al B is not backtracking or using PR to smooth things over like Fox supposedly is.
Not at all. He is explicitly on the record claiming he was poisoned by someone in Diddy's inner circle. He alleges there was an active bounty on his head,
followed by a really expensive coordinated PR campaign designed to suppress his story, and he absolutely plans to testify in the federal trial.
The parallel is what's so striking for you as a listener trying to piece this together. Two incredibly high-profile men in the same industry circles, both suffering unprecedented multi-system biological collapses.
Both shadowed by these intense allegations of targeted synthetic poisoning.
But the rabbit hole goes even deeper, because Al B. Sher's story actually bridges the gap between these modern medical mysteries and the historical cold cases.
Yes, the connection to Kim Porter is where the eras really collide.
Right. To fully understand Al B. Sher's claims, you have to look at Kim Porter, the mother of his son, Quincy. And Al B. actually introduced Kim to Diddy at Uptown Records years ago.
They share a profoundly intertwined history, which makes her death in 2018 at the age of 40 so pivotal.
Officially, the cause of death was listed as pneumonia.
But the transcripts show Al B.
Sure.
vehemently rejecting that conclusion. He suspects she was poisoned in her own home.
Yeah, but not with a pill. He believes a synthetic dust or oil was used, which is the exact same mechanism he claims triggered his own organ failure years later.
And structurally speaking, certain advanced chemical agents don't leave traditional forensic footprints like heavy metals do. They can be inhaled or absorbed through the skin.
And they work by rapidly accelerating a natural biological collapse, right, like inducing severe pneumonia.
Exactly. If a synthetic agent mimics a natural viral collapse, it can easily slip through the cracks of a standard toxicology screen during an autopsy.
That is deeply unsettling. And the reports highlight that prior to her death, Kim Porter allegedly warned Albee should her watch his back.
A warning he didn't fully comprehend until he woke up from a coma with a new liver.
Just terrifying. Now, to be totally impartial to all the documents in front of us, we do need to point out that Diddy and Kim's sons have released public statements firmly denying any foul play regarding their mother's death.
We definitely have to weigh those statements. However, the analysis in the sources challenges the independence of that denial.
Right, because these young men have been raised entirely within the financial and psychological ecosystem of their father's empire.
Exactly. When your inheritance and industry access are inextricably linked to a billionaire patriarch, the internal pressure to protect the family narrative is immense.
It really forces you to question how free anyone truly is to speak against the entity that funds their existence. It's the ultimate golden handcuff scenario.
And this methodology, enforcing silence, utilizing vast wealth to dictate reality, it isn't new. The reports trace this blueprint all the way back to the 90s hip-hop wars.
Which brings us to the historical shadows of Tupac and Biggie. This is like the bedrock of the allegations. It all begins with the 1994 shooting at Quad Studios in New York.
Tupac was heading there to record with one of Diddy's artists, Little Sean. He was ambushed, robbed, and shot 5 times.
And Tupac firmly believed it was a setup, noting that only a very select few, including Diddy's camp, knew his exact schedule that night.
That single event fundamentally fractured the music industry. But the true shock in these reports is a massive legal revelation from a July 2024 court filing.
Right. The documents focus on Keith D., who was arrested in 2023 for his involvement in Tupac's murder.
Embedded in this filing is a previously undisclosed police interview from 2009. Keith D. allegedly confessed to law enforcement that Diddy offered him $1 million to orchestrate the hit on Tupac.
$1 million. I mean, we really need to pause and look at the bureaucratic reality of that. How does a recorded confession alleging $1 million assassination plot just sit dormant in a police file for over a decade?
It really speaks to the paralysis of law enforcement when confronting hyperwealth. The jurisdictional red tape and the intimidating force of a billionaire's legal defense fund create a massive chilling effect.
Because if the state misses on a charge like that, the counter litigation is just devastating.
Absolutely. And as the reports note, the violence didn't stop there. 6 months after Tupac's murder, Biggie was killed in a hauntingly similar drive-by.
Yeah, and the sources note that Biggie was allegedly terrified to even be on the West Coast, but he was heavily pressured by Diddy to go out there for promo, disregarding the blatant threats against them.
When you lay that 90s context next to the 2020s medical mysteries, you see the blueprint. The mechanism of control hasn't changed, just the tools have.
The core strategy is enforcing silence through paralyzing fear, whether it's $1 million bounty or crippling lawsuits, or an unexplainable medical emergency.
Which perfectly explains the modern chilling effect we're seeing with someone like Jaguar Wright.
Yes, we are seeing this happen in real time. She was incredibly vocal, making explosive claims, even alleging that Jay-Z had an even longer trail of victims.
And now, complete radio silence. Her platforms are quiet.
Some analysts in the report suggest she is drowning in litigation, while others fear a more physical suppression. But honestly, the mechanism doesn't matter. The outcome is exactly the same. The silence is achieved.
And that is really the ultimate takeaway from this deep dive. When you look at the sheer scope, from the streets of LA in the 90s, to Hollywood Hills break-ins, to synthetic toxins in VIP rooms, it's an ecosystem designed to protect the powerful.
It's an architecture of complicity. The collateral damage is just written off as the cost of doing business. It is genuinely dizzying.
It really is.
We have unpacked firebombed Porsches, international exile, sudden multi-organ failures, and assassination claims sitting in dusty police files. The scale is hard to comprehend.
It is massive. And for you, listening to us break this down, it's crucial to remember that while this feels like a premium cable thriller, these are real people.
Yeah, real people whose lives and physical bodies have been fundamentally altered by an industry that has historically preferred to just look the other way.
Exactly.
Which brings us right back to the image we started with. A mogul sitting in a federal holding facility, the proxy network continuing to operate, the alleged revenge list being compiled.
And that recalculated release date of February 23, 2028, just ticking closer.
It leaves us with a haunting question to ponder as we wrap up. If a man's influence is allegedly potent enough to alter global superstars' lives, orchestrate decades of fear, and silence accusers while he is actively locked in a cell under a federal microscope,
What happens to the justice system's ability to protect those witnesses when that cell door finally opens and he walks free?
that is a deeply unsettling thought. Thanks for diving deep with us.